Legend speaks of a young boy entrusted with the ultimate weapon, Lord Shiva's glowing divine axe, fated to eradicate the Earth's most corrupt monarchs. This boy, Parashurama, embodied an extreme contradiction. By sunrise, he immersed himself in the deep spiritual philosophy of the Vedas. By dusk, he was mastering the lethal mechanics of physical combat. Deep within the forest, far from the influence of civilization, he subjected himself to intense isolation. He pushed his physical body to its absolute limits, shattering solid stone targets and perfecting his lethal accuracy with a bow. This relentless discipline served a specific purpose. He was meticulously forging himself into a living weapon, waiting for the singular event that would require his intervention. Far beyond the forest, a different kind of force was expanding. King Kartavirya Arjuna ruled his empire with an insatiable drive to conquer and possess everything in his path. Ancient texts describe him as having 1,000 arms. It serves as a description of a monarch whose reach was total and whose appetite for wealth and territory had no defined limit. Contrast that sprawling military empire with Maharishi Jamadagni's quiet forest hermitage. Here, power was derived from harmony and the deliberate practice of having no material desires. This diagram shows the mechanics of these two systems. On one side, an extractive model, where resources flow inward to feed a central crown. On the other, a generative model, where peace and abundance radiate outward from a simple center. In this moment, the predator and the ascetic occupied the same forest. Their proximity created a pressure that neither side could ignore for long. That tension becomes a physical reality when the king and his massive army march directly into the undefended forest hermitage. The visual contrast is stark. Heavily armed soldiers surround quiet sages who are deep in prayer and completely unarmed. Rather than preparing for resistance, Sage Jamadagni chooses to offer the invading army unconditional hospitality, treating the 1,000-armed king as an honored guest. He provides for them using Kamadhenu, a divine cow capable of manifesting limitless resources. Within minutes, a lavish feast appears, feeding the entire army out of thin air. In attempting to placate the army with abundance, the sage inadvertently revealed the one thing the king could never ignore: a power greater than his own. The king looks at the divine cow, and his gratitude quickly turns to envy. He calculates Kamadhenu's strategic value, a portable, infinite food supply sustaining his military campaigns indefinitely. His logic is simple. A resource of this magnitude belongs with the strongest military force. To him, a peaceful sage is an unworthy steward of such power. He formally demands that Kamadhenu be handed over to the crown. Sage Jamadagni quietly but firmly refuses to surrender her. The king discards all diplomatic pretense. He orders his men forward, and the soldiers violently drag the divine animal away from the weeping villagers. The sanctuary is broken. The theft proves that the hermitage's commitment to peace provides no protection against a force that only respects power. Hours later, Parashurama returns to find a desecrated sanctuary and his father humiliated. He realizes the time for spiritual debate has ended. The scholar must now step aside for the warrior. His hand wraps around the handle of the divine axe. As his determination settles, the atmosphere shifts, and the first cracks of a thunderstorm begin to echo through the valley. The king now possessed the cow, but his actions provided the precise catalyst required to awaken the axe. A sequence of events was now in motion that no army could halt. Parashurama makes a decision with no historical precedent. A lone individual is declaring war on the world's most heavily armed empire. The numerical odds are impossible. It is one ascetic against thousands of professional soldiers, commanded by a monarch with the reach of 1,000 arms. The conflict will determine if the focused fury of a single man can dismantle the structural power of an entire military machine. As the storm breaks, the lone ascetic begins his descent toward the horizon of steel. The first strike is only moments away.